Abounds, and today I wanted to share with you our homeschool curriculum for the 2017-2018 school year. This year we have five kids who are doing school. We have our oldest, our 10-year-old, who is officially a 5th grader. Our 8.5-year-old is officially a 4th grader. We have a 6 going on 7-year-old who is officially 2nd grade. And then we have our 5-year-old son, well, he's going to turn 5 in a few days, who is doing kindergarten. Now his younger sister is only 15 months younger, and so she has tagged along, and she is kind of just insisting that she do school just by coming along. She says, when are we doing school today? When are we doing school? She does not quite understand that it's technically her brother's school time, which is fine with me. She's very eager, and she's actually very capable, and she's doing great. So we do combine a lot of our subjects, and that has sort of kind of morphed into that over the last few years. And so I'm going to go by subject by subject, but first I am going to start with our kindergartner because his stuff is different, obviously, than his older siblings. We are focusing right now on learning how to read. And he has already started reading, and he needs some more practice, but he's on the way. What we use, and what I have used for all of the kids, is this program here, Spell to Write and Read by Wanda Senseri. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. This has been an awesome, very thorough phonics program. We started this because our older 2 kids, when they were 4 and 5, or maybe it was 3 and 4, I can't remember now, that this is how they were starting to read. They were asking, Mommy, how do I spell cat? And then they would write it down, and then they would read it to themselves. So I did a search, and I looked for programs that approach learning how to read from the spelling or the writing aspect. This has been great. I will say that it is a little bit overwhelming. If you try to do the whole program, it can be like a complete language arts program from like beginner reader to like through elementary school, even junior high. And so like it can get kind of overwhelming here. But I just do the phonics, and then we transition into the spelling, and it is awesome. So the way that it works is we learn these phonograms, and this is my old set of beat up flashcards, and the kids, they learn these in a specific order. It's not alphabetical order, right? This is not alphabetical order. You'll see it's not. And there is a very systematic method behind that. I actually really like how she does it. The more I do this program, the more I really like it. So we do the flashcards. Once the kids can pretty much say all of the phonics sounds for the single letters, we start what we call double or multi-letter phonograms. But they will start in the spelling book. That's the book. They will start in the spelling book, Wise Guide to Spelling. This is an awesome spelling program. Even if you don't do the phonics part, it's a really good list. It is in total, I think, 2,000 words. Yes, in total it's 2,000 words. I really like how thoughtful and again how systematic, you're going to hear that word a lot through this video, her approach is to choosing the spelling words and the order that she chooses them. I like that she doesn't pick all of the rhyming words. So in a list, you don't have cat, hat, bat, mat. You don't have that all together. It's very good. This is very, very good. We also do the Bob books. These are the books that Rachel's reading right now, and Jer, and they learn how to read these on their own. These are very good. I really enjoy these as well because the kids feel like they can take off and read some things by themselves, and they don't need to know sight words. And I feel pretty strongly about phonics versus sight words. I'm not a sight word person. I don't like sight words. I don't like that method of learning how to read. And so I appreciate that with the combination of the phonics system that they learn from Spell to Write and Read and the Bob books, they don't need to learn any sight words. They can sound out every word as they go. So that's what we're doing right now. Like I said, we're focusing on reading because Jer is right at that point where he is reading, but he just needs practice. And so I'm kind of giving him a concentrated course in reading right now, and it's working out really well. But we do handwriting as well, and we use the Handwriting Without Tears. Jeremiah is in this kindergarten level, letters and numbers for me. He's done the preschool one, kind of, but not fully. This is Rachel's book. So they start with capital letters, and I don't like that. I actually prefer to start with lowercase letters, because when you're reading a book, how many letters are capital? Not very many, right? So we actually learn, and in the phonics program, they learn the capital letters. And so when they see, they learn the lowercase letters. And so with Jeremiah, this is on pause right now, but he's actually working in the second half of the book doing the lowercase letters. And I'm trying to do it a little more in the order that he's learned the phonograms so that it can line up a bit with his spelling. So eventually he'll be able to write out the spelling words. When we get to a capital letter, I just say, this is capital D, or this is capital K, or whatever it is. And I explain to them that letters are written two ways, a capital and a lowercase, and they have never had a problem learning that. So that's handwriting. And then for math, we are super flexible at this stage. We do loosely use Abeka Number Skills K5. I know there's a K4 version, but it moves super slowly, and I don't really like that. This, we don't do it every day. It's on hold at the moment while we focus on phonics and reading. And basically, once Jeremiah can count to 100 and he knows how to read numbers, probably up to 30, 40, maybe even 50 by now, we work with a little number chart, which just count through and point to the numbers. Once he can do that, then I'll jump into this with Ernest, and we'll do a lesson a day, and probably it will even be a little bit remedial for him, some of the things. So we will start this fairly soon with him. Now I'm going to move to our elementary school kids, and I'm going to go subject by subject. Some things we do separate out age level or ability level, and that is math mainly. And so I'm going to start and show you our math. Abby, our 6.5-year-old, is doing Abeka Arithmetic 2. She has already gotten almost halfway through this. The way that we do school is we go year-round. We take breaks when we need it. This year our break was in March and April when we moved and had a baby, and we picked up school in May. So at the end of March, when we had our last day of school, we just shut our books, and in May when we had our first day of school for a new year, then we just opened them back where we had left off. So the kids will change books throughout the year. So Abby changed from her first grade Arithmetic 1 to Arithmetic 2 sometime in the middle of last school year. So she's already more than halfway through this. Now with the other kids, they started with Abeka K5, like Jared is starting, and they did. Then we switched to Singapore math. I love the idea of Singapore math, but I could not pull off the teacher heavy stuff when I had 5 kids, 6 and under. It just didn't happen. And so we tried that a year and we dropped that. We went back to Abeka. Last year we started, I guess it was officially 2 school years ago. So like a year and a half ago, we changed the older kids to a computer-based like online math program called CTC Math. I like the way that the guy explains a lot of the concepts. but it was not enough practice, especially for our oldest, and I didn't like that there was never any review. And so for me to have to come up with review and figure out what they need reviewing and then go and seek out those resources, it was just as much effort as going through a book where I have to check their work. And so we just, this school year, when we started in May, we have gone back to Abeka. Now, because we stopped a year and a half ago, I'm actually having the kids pick up where they left off. So our 4th grader is in Arithmetic 3. She is plowing through this. I do not have her do every lesson. We skip a lot of lessons. We do the ones with a new concept, and the ones that are just basic review or just kind of rehashing over the same concepts, we skip over them. So she'll move ahead whenever she finishes this. No matter what point in our school year it is, she'll move on to Arithmetic 4, and so on. Then our 5th grader is in Arithmetic 4. This is where he left off a year and a half ago. When we stopped doing this, he's doing the same thing as our 4th grader in that he skips a bunch of lessons if it's just review, and we focus on the new concept lessons. And sometimes I combine new concepts. If it's things like measurement or whatever, we'll combine 3 lessons that do like 3 sets of new measurements. And they've gone over a lot of this material before, and so this is pretty remedial. This has been a really good change though, because it is a confidence booster. Our kid who doesn't really like math and complains about it has been enjoying this a little bit more because it's not as hard as something that's more advanced. So this was actually a good switch, even though I kind of cringed putting him back, officially back a grade level, but he's almost through this book anyway. With discussing with Claude, we have decided we're not going to switch from Abeka because we've gone back to it now 2 or 3 times, and I need to know what I'm doing with the kids and not bounce them around with different curriculum and not bounce myself around. And so this is our final decision. We're sticking with Abeka with its strengths and its weaknesses. So anyway, now our kids, once they are doing really well in their spelling and in reading and handwriting, we start them on Koine Greek, Biblical Greek. They have all started at various ages pretty young, and we start them on a program that is super basic. The whole first year is just the alphabet and a few vocabulary words, and then we have moved them after 3 levels of that. We've moved into what they're doing now. This is called Elementary Greek. And so it's Elementary Greek. All 3 of them are in year 1. They're at various points in the book. Koine for beginners. This is actually the teacher guide, but to give you an idea of what it looks like, they have like one short, see how it's like half the page? One short exercise that they do a day, and in their textbook it will explain. It has like a short explanation. So this is like a little blurb every day and a little practice every day, and they do their like vocabulary cards every day. The system that they were using before was very good for just kind of rote learning, and that was a very good start. But we found once we got after the 3rd level, it was confusing. All the grammar was quite confusing. This is very systematic in the way that they teach the grammar. It's a little challenging for our 2nd grader. She is still in lesson 4, which is supposed to be like week 4, but we just move at her pace. We're not in a hurry to push them through it. This is good. Recommend it. Elementary Greek. There are 3 levels of this. Then our older 2 are also doing Latin, and they do this Latin's Not So Tough. This is the level 2 answer key, but they're actually in level 3, both of them. And so this is like rote learning. This is the company we did Greek with until we switched to the Elementary Greek. So it's just lots of copying and stuff, and building some vocabulary, learning you know, the declensions and things like that. So I never learned Latin. I never learned Greek. And quite honestly, I'm not sure how we started. Let me think. We started Greek because our oldest is really like inclined toward languages, and he was asking, he was learning Greek on his own. He was learning it from reading some history books, and he just kind of started the basics, you know, learning the alphabet, writing some English words using Greek letters and that kind of thing. And so we thought, well, we had originally thought they might learn Latin, but then we realized Greek, biblical Greek, is awesome because we are really into Bible study, and so if they can learn biblical Greek growing up, then it gives them a really good foundation, hopefully, for their own Bible study. And then we have added Latin, and just because we're learning Latin, so they're also doing that. Our second grader does not do Latin yet. We won't put her in that until she's really gotten a good foothold in Greek. So moving on, we are doing grammar. We're using Easy Grammar. I picked grade 3 because I am doing this with all of the kids. Well, all 3 kids, 2nd, 4th, and 5th graders. This is our first year doing it, and I really, really like how simple this is and how easy it is. It's quick. It is pretty painless, unless I've got some, you know, grumblers in the bunch. But I really like this. I like how it's, again, systematic and how it explains things. It gets right to the point. It has very quick, you can see, like, here's an example. Oh, that's a review. Let me find here we go. So it gives, like, if you can see that, if I can hold it still, it gives like just a quick explanation, and then it gives a quick practice. Along with that, we are using the daily gram. So this is one program. This is like daily review, and I write this on the whiteboard and we go through it quickly together. Every day you do a capitalization, punctuation, parts of speech, and sentence combining, right? You might not always do the middle ones, the parts of speech on this page. It might be like, you might have compound words, or you might have alphabetizing or prefixes or suffixes or whatever. It's just a quick review. This has been really, really good. We do this 2 to 4 days a week, depending on how the week goes. And whenever we finish it, probably will take us more than this school year, then we'll just move on. I might actually skip grade 4 and go up to grade 5 because a lot of things are just repeated, and so it kind of, you know, it cycles and spirals around, and so you get lots of practice. We do use the memorization for first language lessons. We did the first 2 levels with our oldest 2 kids. Our 2nd grader did the first level of first language lessons. When we got to the 3rd one with our older kids, I didn't like it very much, and I was getting a ton of pushback, and I figured there are so many things that we get pushback from our kids on. Please tell me we're not the only ones. But I wanted to find something for grammar that was a little less tedious, actually. And so anyway, I like the memorization from first language lessons. So we use this and we review the parts of speech definitions and the list of prepositions and the list of pronouns and those things. We do review them regularly from that. Then we have our writing program. We have never done an official language arts like with writing assignments before this year, but our oldest needs to get that skill in his tool belt as he's approaching middle school soon. So I did a search and I found this, Writing Trails, and I found this copy for $2.50 on eBay. Awesome buy. And we really like this. We've actually only done the sample lesson together, but we have learned the concept and kind of the method behind this has been really helpful, and we've been able to apply it in our Bible study and in our history when we're writing about what we've read and stuff. Okay, so the way that this Writing Trails curriculum works is you read the story here, and you can see the numbers. They give a number. It's pretty much one number per sentence, but really they just kind of break it up into sections. And then you get to give it a title. Giving a title means that you're thinking about the big picture. You're able to think, what is this, really about, the whole thing. And then they pick a few vocabulary words, so it incorporates a little bit of vocabulary. You find the definitions, you find some synonyms for those words, and then you take your story in the sections and you find keywords for each section. And so you'll have like a few keywords to help you remember what each section was, and then you rewrite using this outline here. You rewrite the story in your own words. This, again, like I said, we've only done the sample lesson, and we worked on that together. But the skill of finding keywords, of creating an outline, of giving it a title to kind of sum up the thing, has been really a useful skill to develop and to put into practice in other things. So we do the National Bible Bee. We're doing the summer study right now, and as we are studying in preparation for the National Qualifying Test, we're looking at a study passage, well, several study passages, and then we're also looking at cross-references. And the way that we learn those is we summarize them and we find keywords in them. It's the same thing we're doing here. So this has been a really natural fit for us. Another thing I like is that it does include the editing process. And so once you have your outline, you've got to get your piece of paper, you need to write out your version of the story, make sure that you're getting the facts straight and stuff. And then I edit it, and they give a little thing so that I can know how to grade it. And then the kids have to make the corrections and bring back a final draft. So that's a really good skill for them to have. They have this also, so we have the Men of Science. That's just what I found for cheap. Before, I didn't want to spend, it's only $15 for the book, but when you can get it for $2.50 to try it out, that's all the better. I think they have great composers and something with like people from American history. So they're a little snapshot of people throughout history. Anyway, so this has been good. Then the last thing that we do is history. And we are doing, for our second grader, she is working through Abeka, Our American Heritage. This is, I think, the grade 3 book. So she does use the map and study skills. She does use the map activity book. And this is the textbook. This is really just people in U.S. history, so it's not like going through, it does go chronologically, but each chapter talks about a person from American history. And we don't really do the comprehension check questions. I basically just have this so that it's something for her to read. This is really for her to practice sitting down, reading for a set amount of time, and then being able to tell me what she's read, either by answering questions that I ask or by writing. And this is like an example of what she will write for me after she has read. So that gives her a chance to practice her handwriting, put some writing skills into practice as well, and learn a little bit of history as well. And then our 4th and 5th graders are using also Abeka. They're using the grade 5 book, Old World History and Geography. And they are doing this book. We kind of do this a little bit haphazardly, but they will get through it. And then they're reading through this at their own pace. So what we do is we sit down at the table, and this is how we, I'm going to do a video just after this. I'm going to record another video about how we do our school day, like our So I was talking about science. Claude will pick a science book from the Apologia elementary series once January of the next calendar year rolls around, and the kids will read it during the day, and then he will talk with them about it in the evenings. So that is our curriculum for the 2017-2018 school year, and thanks for watching. We'll catch you in our next video. Bye!